At Blizzard, Overwatch is very stylized. WoW is kind of somewhere in between stylized and hyperreal, and then Diablo's is like hyperreal as you can get. They all have different expectations, I guess, in terms of how they're supposed to look. It's the big smoky, evil-looking things with the arm gauntlets. I rigged those in the piece with Lorthamar and Liadrin fighting. Every time that the void monsters are killed, they poof away, and then all of the remains of the gauntlet, because they have like a metallic handguard, that has to essentially fall to pieces, so I had to rig it in like 100 different chunks.
Whoa.
Yeah. Elsa, we basically named all of her hair strands. The little middle part bang that hangs down on her forehead. We had Ted and Fred. I don't remember which was which side, but we had Ted and Fred, and then we had Ted Jr., Fred Jr., and then the main big mass was the roost, like the roost of a rooster or chicken.
Hello, my friend. It's been a long time coming.
Yes.
Thank you so much for doing this, for being here.
Happy to be here.
Very, very happy to have my old friend Brett Taggart here to talk about your career. And you worked at Disney, you work at Blizzard currently. What do you do for a living?
My job title is I am a senior rigging and simulation artist at Blizzard Entertainment. That basically means I am a rigging artist and a simulation artist. Rigging, essentially, in CG animation is the art of crafting the skeleton that allows the animators to actually move the static frozen models that are provided. Simulation is just basically the art of applying like physics to clothing and hair to essentially get realistic movements, also stylized depending on what the show is.
Right.
Yeah, and that's basically it. It's just very art directed. It's very fun. It's very creative.
Yeah.
All of it.
And depending on the studio, too, probably, right? Different styles wherever you go.
Even at Blizzard, I mean, we have, Overwatch is very stylized. We have WoW is kind of somewhere in between stylized and hyperreal, and then Diablo's is like hyperreal as you can get.
Oh, my gosh,
so
yeah.
it's very, they all have different expectations, I guess, in terms of how they're supposed to look. So, yeah.
So you work on all three of those?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I work on, we essentially are constantly moved around between the different franchises. So, 1 week I could be on Diablo, the next, week later I could be on Overwatch. It really just depends on the needs of the studio. And yeah, we do that story and franchise development where I work. We basically handle all of the cinematics. So that includes the in-game cutscenes, the marketing pieces, the stuff you see at BlizzCon on the big screen, basically do all of it. So it's fun. It's basically like little mini feature films, essentially. They're, some of them are as long as like 8 minutes long.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
The production schedules are a little nuts, but
they're
it's fun.
beautiful too. I mean, the cinematics are like far and away the coolest.
It's really like hype building, yeah.
It really is.
It gets me excited to work on them for sure, yeah.
It's the most exciting commercials in history of cinematics.
Yeah. And people really like to follow them, and whatever their favorite franchise is, they like to keep up with what we're putting out. So it gets people jazzed about stuff, and
they highlight all these new different characters.
Yeah.
Pretty much most of the time when they're doing a new one, it's like, oh, now we're highlighting this character or this.
Yeah, either character or different like expansions. So like for Diablo, we'll do, we usually have an intro and an outro piece for whatever our next expansion is. World of Warcraft has endless expansions, so we always have content for that. And then for Overwatch is usually when we do like character spotlights and stuff.
I love Overwatch. We've played Overwatch a lot.
A lot of
Overwatch.
Past. Yes.
So, yeah, Overwatch. There you go. We got
Tracer.
We got Tracer up there.
Yeah.
She's here representing the Blizzard portion.
And the WoW Midnight.
And WoW.
Our latest.
And that one
latest
just came out.
Yeah. We had I think it was called Immolation, I think. But yeah, the Arator piece we just put out. Yeah.
And which one is that one? That one's the one with.
It's basically, it takes place, they're fighting, essentially. You have Xalatath evilly floating, and basically it's Arator fighting hordes of void monsters.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
And then you said the void monsters, those are the smoke monsters?
It's the big smoky, the evil-looking things with the arm gauntlets. Yeah.
And you rigged those?
I rigged those, yeah. So I rigged those, and that's been used for the last piece, our piece with Liadrin and Lorthamar. We had the void monsters too, and then the latest one. So it's cool. It's very rare you get to have it's always usually a re-rig, because there's always improvements to the pipeline or the character designs change, but it's cool to have like the same rig just brought right over. So, and it was a FX collab piece, because there's like, I rigged the underlying body of the void monster and then like all the gauntlet pieces, but then the effects, obviously he had to basically be a swirling vortex of smoke, and like that back and forth marriage of like how much VFX is gonna like cover and what's gonna be shown and what needs to be is kind of like a fun back and forth collab piece. And then not in our last piece, but in the piece with Lorthamar and Liadrin fighting, yeah, they had to essentially have every time that the void monsters are killed, essentially they poof away, and then
Mm-hmm.
all of the like remains of the gauntlet, because they have like a metallic hand guard, that has to essentially fall to pieces. So I had to rig it in like 100 different chunks so that,
Whoa.
yeah, because they actually didn't simulate it, so they hand animated it falling.
Whoa.
Yeah,
Oh
yeah,
man, that's a
yeah,
lot
yeah.
of animation.
Yeah, as far as I know, I could be wrong on that, but
That's so cool though.
but yeah, so it was fun. Yeah.
So you, in your day-to-day job, you said you do both rigging and you do CFX.
Yeah.
Simulation.
Yeah, yeah.
And so
Character
is
effects.
there a, yeah, or do you, is there like a ratio of how much you're doing one or the other, or is it literally just day by day?
Yeah, it really depends. So usually for the production cycles, I mean, if we get moved around a lot, but sometimes we're on the project from beginning to end. So that means we'll literally like from beginning doing all the character rigs, and then we'll move right into shot work with those character rigs, and then sometimes we can update the rigs as we need. If like we can't hit the art direction, we'll go back and update the rigs, and so it's kind of cool. Sometimes you will get to like work on this like your character in all contexts basically all the way
wow.
up to the end, and then sometimes you just do the assets and then you get moved on to a different project essentially. So that does happen sometimes. It just depends.
Do you have a favorite project that you've gotten to do there?
Favorite project? Yeah, I mean, I really enjoyed. We did for Overwatch. We did a piece with basically it was a collab piece with Le Sserafim, which is a K-pop band.
Oh, that one's so cool.
It was our first ever like music video collab where we actually collaborated directly with the artists, and they essentially picked 5 Overwatch characters to represent the band essentially, and we had like a mixture of, it was like the band doing the live action part that was filmed, and then we had our part, which essentially was the girls going to a concert of that band essentially, and it was them getting ready and like driving there and stuff. So that was super fun because that was like,
With the van flying through the air.
yeah,
and all that.
exactly. Yeah, yeah. So we had to make it Overwatchy. So, they can't just get there. They have to go through traffic and then get around the traffic and find clever ways to get there, and then find the tickets that they left behind using Tracer. So
Amazing.
yeah, it was a fun piece, but I really liked it because of like the team that was really cool. It's very small. So for that project, there was like maybe like 3 of us for the whole thing.
Wow, 3 of you just doing
Like 3 artists doing the whole thing. Yeah.
the CFX part
Yeah,
of it?
yeah,
Wow.
basically, yeah. And even the assets. So, yeah, like we all, like I rigged for that one, I rigged Kiriko in that one. And then, yeah, basically it's just like a team, very small, tight-knit crew going through, doing all the CFX for it. Yeah, it was just fun. It's just a cool team. And then I really liked, just got to do all like the Kiriko jumping out on top of the van and, just wind and just, it was fun. Yeah, it was a fun show. Yeah.
Yeah, all the wind is the most fun, it seems like, for
Yeah.
CFX people, because
For sure.
you really get to get all the things
You get
flapping.
to really,
and
it's like our acting, right? You get
Yeah.
to like our performance, things that is very obviously seen,
Was there any like really challenging shots that you came across during your time working on cinematics?
Yeah, there's a lot of creative things, problems to solve.
Yeah.
We had one on the K-pop music video we did with
cool.
Le Sserafim. In the beginning, we had Tracer, Miss Tracer, whichever side. Much like Elsa, Tracer also has gravity-defying spiky hair.
Yes.
And we had a fun gag visually where we had her hair essentially like flattened down, matted, and then she would like shake it or blow, and then it would just suddenly like retain its poof up into its actual shape. But anyone who's ever done, hair things and grooming knows, like essentially you make the hair to be what it's going to be for the whole time. So unless you're going to create a separate hairstyle where it's down, it's very difficult to basically change that gravity-defying shape to force it into something else. But we did, because
wow.
we only had her in her full updo. We didn't have a version of her, so I had to basically hand manually like rotate and like push her curves into the head, and then find a happy medium where it's still rendered properly and didn't look like very broken.
Oh, wow.
There's lots of things go wrong under the hood when it's time to render. As soon as you start messing with getting off model, because her on model is the hair up. So
was
but it
that a
worked.
lot of tweaking, trying to get it like to meet in the middle, so it wasn't
Yeah,
like too far one way or the other?
basically, if it's too far one way, it's it basically would render broken. You'll have hair curves ripped and splitting. Spinning out. Yeah,
Not
literally
like-
splitting hairs.
Not like the guy who was intentionally
No,
splitting
not
his hair
intentionally
with the-
art directedly split, but like in a bad way split.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was something that was fun. Just kind of like the happy medium, but made it work. It
Yeah.
was fun.
And you guys were way ahead of your time with K-pop in animated.
Oh my
animated
goodness, I know,
project,
right?
right?
It's like everybody now, K-pop, all of it. Like, it's
Before
crazy.
K-pop Demon Hunters took the world by storm.
K-pop Demon Hunters, Twice, all of them, all the bands. It's
Right.
crazy.
Twice, Cat's Eye. There's,
Yep,
I mean, they're not
Blackpink.
K-pop,
Oh, K-pop,
but
yeah.
they're, you know,
They're K-pop inspired,
adjacent.
we'll say.
Yeah.
Blackpink, etc.
Blackpink, yeah.
Yeah, so that was definitely an interesting one for sure.
You've been doing for a long time
Mm-hmm.
now, because, you know, we went to college together.
Yes,
We
we go
went
way
to
back.
The School of the Visual Arts.
School of SVA.
SVA. And then we both ended up at Disney Animation for a little while.
Yep, but I don't think we overlapped.
At
Did we
Disney
overlap?
Animation?
Did we overlap?
We did overlap briefly because we both worked on Wreck-It Ralph too.
That is true. Okay, you
So
have a better
you-
memory than I.
Because you started at Disney
Yes.
and on Wreck-It Ralph too.
Yes, that was my first film at Disney.
And then you were there for a few years.
Yeah,
after
so
that.
I did Ralph 2, Frozen 2, and then Raya and the Last Dragon,
Mm-hmm.
and then some short circuit projects, which were on Disney Plus. Yeah.
Yeah, we overlapped twice actually because we overlapped
right.
during Ralph, and then I
You
came
you
back
came
during
back
Raya.
for Raya.
And then
but
we
that
overlapped
whole
on Raya.
movie was basically done at home because
was
of
at
COVID,
home.
so it was a very unique, probably hopefully once in a lifetime experience. Yeah.
Yeah, I hope so.
It was, we adapted.
Did you have fun on Raya though?
Oh, I did. No, I really liked Raya. It was my first, because I went from Ralph, which is obviously, video games, which obviously I work in video games and I love video games, so I
Right.
enjoyed that film as well. Frozen was a musical, which was my first time working on a musical, and then Raya was kind of like really just like a full-on like fighting kung fu, just like
Yeah.
it was just fun,
Three
just
totally different
different
movies.
vibe for
Yeah.
Disney, like the lore, the world building, just like all of the action sequences. Basically, just replace all the musical acts with fight sequences, and that essentially was Raya. And
Yeah.
it was just so fun to work on that stuff, and I requested all that stuff too, and I got to work on a lot of it. So
That's
cool.
awesome. What? You worked on the big fight sequence at the end with Raya and Namari.
Yeah,
right?
I worked on the Raya and Amari fight, which they fight a couple times, but the one in the temple at the end during the
Yeah.
big climax with the Droon. I also did a lot of the fight sequence in the beginning of the film when we had like child Raya fighting her dad.
Oh, yeah.
In the beginning, Chief Benja.
On top of all the rocks. And
Yeah, the
water.
rocks
Yeah.
and like the temple and heart. Yeah, it was really cool.
That one's interesting because, like, in fight scenes, you're animating the hair,
Mm-hmm.
and I wonder what the difference, like, the balance, trying to find the balance
Mm-hmm.
of what's distracting
Sure.
and what feels right in an action scene.
Yeah, there really is a fine line because what you think, like what it wants to do realistically, may not be the best for the angle of the camera.
Yeah.
And just the set itself. So yeah, that sequence specifically because she has these two bang pieces, like and she does a lot of like flipping around and like hanging down her head, and it essentially and realistically it would just fall forward, but
Yeah.
then it blocks the eye line and blocks the action, so we do have to art direct it a lot per shot. So yeah, and that's all just directors and tech anim supervisors and us kind of powwowing and figuring out what looks the best. So
Yeah, it's so cool.
'Cause
There's
it's-
what you guys do is amazing. It's
fun.
Namari. I remember there's after she gets knocked down on the ground, she's just there and her hair is like just
That
like
was
kind
me.
of settling, and it's like, oh, she looks defeated, but it's part of the performance. Is actually a lot of the performance is
Sure.
the hair. It's like
she's also just like moody emo girl.
Yeah.
The whole movie. So
yeah. But it's just funny how the hair
Yeah.
like added that
Oh, for
extra
sure.
thing of just like her being defeated.
yeah, and we
like
added a
the-
slight little breeze to it just to give it a little life as she's sitting there.
Yeah, and then it cuts back to Raya, and she's got like her hair just
Real
kind of
angry.
like little bit
Oh,
of
yeah, yeah.
flapping,
Yeah.
but like almost like more majestically because she's like won
Yeah.
the battle. It's like
Per se.
Yeah.
But did she win the war? Because it's about trust.
she won
Remember?
yes.
That's not the real battle. It's about trusting people.
Trust and believe it. You see.
Yeah, that. Maybe it would have been solved quicker if they all just could have sung together.
And it should have been a
Yeah.
musical.
There we go. See? It's so fine. Raya 2, let's make it happen.
Raya 2, the musical.
The power we have. Let's make it happen. Raya 2, the musical.
Yeah, it's so Ralph was interesting because Ralph was
Yeah.
your first one there.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I remember just from watching what you guys were doing that Ralph was very, very like hyper art directed.
Oh, yeah.
Like he had
So
to have a very
stylistic.
specific.
Yeah.
Was it?
neckline?
Yeah,
of
it was
her
like a
shirt.
martini shape
Yeah,
or something
exactly.
in his
Yeah, the shape language that they wanted to.
shape language.
Yeah, because they just like him and Vanellope had very specific. Yeah, it's just very art directed.
Because he was like,
More than
correct me if
anything
I'm
else.
wrong. Was he like boxy and triangular?
Yeah,
and,
he was basically a big square essentially the whole
Right.
time, and they wanted very angular, harsh, Like they basically didn't want anything that looked too realistic, especially because they live in a video game,
Right.
first arcade, then the internet. But either way, it's
8-bit.
very, yeah, exactly. They're not. It's not supposed to be realistic. So yeah, they wanted very specific shapes for both of them. So I mean, Vanellope had a little bit more play because she has the hoodie that she is constantly like putting her hands in her pockets and stuff. But even her, she kind of is very round shapes, basically. That kind of vibe.
And then the Mickey Mousing that you have to do with her hair.
Oh my God.
Right?
I know. Yeah, we had to play with her. Well, not only the ponytail, but like the ponytail hair tie thing.
Oh yeah,
It's like the little
it's like
candy
a Twizzler.
Twizzler thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, like where it is on her head, because basically her shape is like a circle, and then the big bulb of her ponytail, and then basically these two little Mickey ear things that have to basically, we would move them, hand place it sometimes, not even in the ponytail, just to depending on the angle of the camera to make it look not weird.
Yeah, exactly.
So-
That's like basically what Mickey Mousing
Yeah,
is, right? Like
exactly. Yeah.
it's from one of you. If Mickey turned, it would look really weird.
Oh, yeah,
His
exactly,
ears would
yeah.
stay on his head. But
Yeah.
but they always would counter animate stuff, so when the silhouette always looks good.
Yeah.
And the same thing that you guys
you
did.
counter it, even in CG, you have to counter it.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's all art directed, but yeah, that was fun just because that film, obviously, video games near and dear to my heart.
Yeah.
I loved the first one, and I actually got to work on Sonic a lot. He wasn't in a lot of the movie, but I specifically requested any shot with Sonic because I just love Sonic the Hedgehog so much. Grew
Yeah.
up on the Sega Genesis, so
We
that was
both worked
fun.
on those shots.
Yes.
In Game Central Station.
Fun collab.
I did layout.
Layout
and you
and
did
CFX,
character effects on it.
basically.
Yeah. But
and he doesn't really have any clothing or hair, so it's it's mostly
secondary
just shape.
bounce. and-
Well, yeah, it's shape language again. It's
Yeah.
like cleaning up weird shapes. So he's keeping his tan belly basically
Oh,
round
interesting.
and clean.
Yeah.
That's from what I recall, at least.
Yeah, it was
So-
a precursor to your video game future, working
Yes.
in video games.
Full circle.
Right?
Yeah. it was
And then,
cool.
so after that, you did Frozen 2,
Yeah.
which is totally different
Oh, yeah.
stylistically.
Went from basically video game characters to like magical, just like lots of basically characters that have like clothing that moves very little to characters that have nothing but moving everything.
Oh, right.
Clothing, like dresses, capes, hair, just like wind effects and just environment effects. It was crazy. Yeah, that was super fun. Cool.
And on that one, I know that you did, because we were talking about the very specific shapes of Ralph.
Sure.
On Elsa, I know that you guys, you came up with a plan for her hair.
Yes.
And you even had names for her different strands of hair.
Yes, we did. So, yeah, going into Frozen 2, everything is bigger. They're going on this grand adventure, and they're multiple costume changes, and the Dark Sea sequence where Elsa essentially has to get across the Dark Sea out to Holland. Yeah, so that was our first teaser trailer, I believe, was that sequence.
Best teaser trailer.
Yeah, it was
ever.
really cool. Really
Yeah.
builds hype right out of the gate, right? That was a cool sequence. But yeah, so it was the first time we were going to see Elsa, basically being, in water a lot, fighting the Knock, the water
Right.
horse, and just like in and out, and even just in the beginning when she's fighting the waves to get through, and she has to go back to the beach a few times. We were going to see her hair like soaked, and that was something we hadn't really seen before because she has this magical hair gel that keeps her golden locks just like gravity-defying hair always
Right.
upright. So
It is Idina Menzel.
It is Idina Menzel, yes. So she deserves it. But yeah, so we had to figure out what the look was going to be because early on when we had her like really soaked like how it should be if you got out of water, she just looked like a drowned rat essentially, and it wasn't really acceptable for Frozen, of course, and
Right.
it just didn't look very appealing, and it didn't look like her anymore either. It just kind of got very off model. So we basically named all of her hair strands. So we came up. It was a group effort, and then I created a visual guide to basically remember what they were called. So when we would give notes in dailies with directors, they could essentially call out specific strands by names. And it just helped us keep them in track because she has like very defined, distinguished, like very easily like seen pieces basically that are chunks. So we had like a little like middle part bang that hangs down on her forehead, and then we had, I don't remember how we got the names, but we had Ted and Fred. So I don't remember which was which side, but we had Ted and Fred, and then we had Ted Jr., Fred Jr., and then the main big mass was the roost, like
Right.
the roost of a rooster or chicken. And that's how we basically were able to keep track of when we were calling out a specific piece, if it was like too high or too low or just placement wise on the shot, then we could use the names, and it was just a fun, ridiculous way to keep track of it.
Gonna move Fred a little higher up. Somebody.
Essentially, yeah. Yeah. So, to eventually get to the final look, which was, hair that looked wet but wasn't like so matted down that it just looked gross, basically.
Yeah, I mean that's a hard challenge,
very
right?
art
Because you're
directing,
trying
yeah.
to art direct it while also
Being
making
true,
it
yeah.
feel like it's wet,
Yeah.
but also still looking like
Yeah, because she's fighting against a hyper realistic looking ocean. So
Right.
if she suddenly comes out and her hair looks like it wasn't even wet, it would just look bizarre. It would pull you out of it, even though it seems minor. Because you're trying to focus on her grit to get across and not
Right.
like a lot of what we do sometimes is like making stuff appealing visually but not distracting, so that your eye is essentially drawn where it needs to be drawn, which is the performance, and we're enhancing it, but we're not taking away from it. Basically, we want to plus it, not subtract.
I mean, you guys did an
Yeah.
amazing job. That scene is so cool.
Yeah.
It's like still to this day, I think is like the best teaser trailer
Yeah.
they've ever put out.
Yeah.
It's that and Lion King, for me at least.
Going far back there.
Just for a teaser.
Sure.
I think that it just.
Yeah.
It's like, what is going on?
It
in
really
this movie?
captures your. Well, it's so different than the first one
Yeah.
too. I mean, the first one's iconic, but it's like, yeah, it felt so much. The stakes seemed so much bigger with that teaser right out of the gate, and that's all
Right.
you saw. It was just like very darker color palette, but it still had the fun of Frozen. Like the outfits were still on point. So.
Is there
I'll
anything
see.
else you remember from Frozen working on? That
Something that people probably won't be like, wow, won't think it's hard, but for me it was ridiculous. It was the in the beginning when they're still children, and the flashback when they have Agnar and Iduna basically doing story bedtime and gives the history of the lore before it goes into the actual like effects part of it, like the the fire and water, when they're just sitting in the bedroom talking. It was ridiculous because they had the kids and the parents on their big bed basically,
Right.
and we had to do the simulation of all the environment and all of the clothing and all of the hair and all of it interacting with each other
on the sheets.
on the sheets, on the bed, jumping
Oh, wow.
around. Anna's just can't sit still, and then you also add in, we also have mom wearing a shawl that we want to rip off of mom and then play around in it, and then basically swim in it, and have mom put it over her head, and just like all of these things. But also this shawl has like 10-inch fringe that hangs off of it. So these are all incredibly difficult cloth things to solve in a believable way that doesn't explode, essentially. So that's
And
the
these
only way
are
to describe it.
see, but that one is probably 10 times more challenging.
Oh, yeah,
than
100%.
the action sequence.
Oh yeah,
ones.
the action sequences are so forgiving because it's so much faster. You can get
Right.
away with a lot more, And then this is just like one shot, no cut, extremely long, lots of dialogue, and essentially your eye is going everywhere. You can't hide anything. So if anything looks wrong, it's basically that's why the shot took forever to get through.
Yeah.
So it was
Oh,
a
wow.
lot of work. Yeah, it was a lot of back and forth. It was also a big collab piece as well with animation. That was with Isaac Fernandez at the time. So we were talking constantly because basically anytime I'm basically working while they're working. So it's usually you'll wait till the animation is done and then you'll start your work as the department
Yeah.
that's directly after it. But because it was such a big back and forth piece, basically anytime he would move like a hand or a leg, a knee placement, it basically would affect not only what the characters were wearing, but also the thing they're sitting on because all of the sheets and everything has to change. So
Sure.
it was a very much like a back and forth as he was like experimenting while he was figuring out what the performance was going to be. I was figuring out how it was going to work, basically. Like, if I ever needed like more clearance, so that the cloth could resolve in a believable way. If I needed to have, I think Anna sits on her mom's lap at one point or jumps into it. That was a big back and forth of like, where does Anna go? Like, how much space is there? Like, where she lands, it all really mattered. So it was a good back and forth collab with them.
Oh, that's awesome. I mean, I'm
Yeah.
sure that that's like a huge part of what you guys are doing
Oh, yeah.
all the time anyway, because
Constantly.
you're
Yeah.
doing the simulation, the kind of secondary action of animation.
Yeah.
So
I mean, it's part of the performance. It
Yeah.
really is. Otherwise, the characters are sitting there, naked.
Yeah, I mean,
So,
literally, literally naked.
Or clothing that's frozen, and doesn't
Right.
move. Haha, it's frozen. But yeah, that shot almost didn't make it into the final cut.
Really?
Yeah. So because they decided to rework that sequence, it was after I'd finished it, but I was on it for a very long time, and then sometime later they decided to rework the sequence, and it almost got cut actually. But we had thankfully, it doesn't happen a lot in your career, but when it does, it's awesome. You had my tech Anna supervisors, Dave Sorovic and Chris Everett, and just really like like basically just like really like advocated for the shot.
Yeah.
You know, just being like, we put so much work into this. There's a lot of R&D into it, figuring out all the different parts.
Yeah, it
And
looks really good.
It looks
works
really
in the
awesome.
scene, yeah.
So basically, they decided like we really need to keep this shot. Like
Oh,
we have to.
cool. That's
and
nice.
and they did. I mean, they trimmed it down so it wasn't the whole shot of what I worked on, but at least the majority of it made it in to the cut, and that's just really rewarding, I guess, to see
Yeah,
it on a
that's
big screen,
awesome.
to not like slave away for months and not have it actually end up on the screen, because it does happen a lot. You know, you have to
Yeah.
be. You can be precious about your work, but you can't be too precious, because there's always the chance that it doesn't work anymore for the narrative or the story, or things change constantly. So if it makes it in, great. If it doesn't, that's life. You got to move
C'est
on.
la vie.
C'est la vie. We're in tasks with making the total vision come to life of the directors and the writers, etc.
During your time at Disney, I think was one of the last things you worked on was the Baymax project?
Yeah. Oh, on Disney Plus, the
On
Baymax
Disney Plus,
series.
right?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, because I worked on that, and I worked on Coming Home, Jakob's short circuit film.
Oh, cool.
I think Baymax came out after that. So yeah, that was probably the last project. Yeah, which came out obviously time after I had already left, because I left right after Raya. So yeah, and that was a fun one too. And I love Baymax. It was super fun. I didn't get to work on the Big Hero 6 film, so it was cool to get to work on those characters, even just in a small context. So
Yeah.
work on it, and Cass and Hero and Baymax and all the new characters they brought in for that piece. And then I thought the messages were good too. I really liked that each self-contained episode kind of had like a something to say while still being entertaining. So
And then it all kind of came together at the end.
and then
from
all
what
the
I
characters
remember.
came
Yeah.
together. Yeah, every episode was a vignette where you met a new person in the city, and then at the end it all came together. Because everybody helping out. So
That was a fun one.
yeah,
Yeah.
it was cool. It's
And
a good
then-
button on Disney.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
It's a positive, literally positive messages from each episode.
Exactly. Yeah.
And then you did the Avatar test.
Oh, not a test.
Well, not test. What would you call it?
Like a fan
film.
fan
You did
film
the
in a
Avatar
sense.
fan film.
Yeah, so it wasn't the film. It was basically a CG reimagining of the intro.
Right.
But we just had Aang, and it was actually specifically for, I believe it was an Anim school, or no, it was Anim Challenge. Basically, they had a challenge where they basically introduce a new rig, and they you have basically a certain amount of time to create a very short animation with that rig. So essentially, yeah, I was basically brought onto a team of artists. It was basically a bunch of different artists from like Pixar and DreamWorks and Disney and just all over the place. Blue Sky even. Blue Sky.
That was it, Blue Sky.
Yeah, we love Blue Sky. Yeah, so a team together was assembled to essentially show off the Aang rig, basically. So the piece was just like, it was for fun, but it was also kind of a promotional, like, here's what the rig can do kind of thing. And then we took it well beyond what it needed to do, because we added, effects. Danny did all the effects, and, we had just like crazy lighting was really beautiful, and yeah, it was fun. So I was brought on specifically to do, I didn't do the rigging on that piece, but I did all the CFX. So I did the cloth.
Oh,
and
fun.
And Aang's bald, so just cloth. But yeah, and it was kind of inspired by his season 3 look, so he has a little bit more of hanging cloth. But I'm a huge Avatar: The Last Airbender fan. It's probably one of my top 5 like animated shows, in my life that I love. Yeah. So getting a chance to work on that was just really special, even if it was just like a fan thing. It was really cool, and the internet really blew up. Like the internet really responded well to it. A lot of times when you see things recreated from hand drawn to CG, sometimes it doesn't translate well, or people just don't really like how it looks. But I think people really appreciated it for what it was.
Yeah, you guys did a great job translating it.
Yeah,
And
it
I
was
mean,
fun.
I think now it's, now there's a movie being made.
Yes, it
so
was the precursor.
Let's just say,
Yeah.
maybe you put it out into the world, and now here it goes.
Well, it's really awesome because Danny, as I mentioned, who did the effects on that piece, got to work got hired eventually at Avatar Studios and
On
did,
the movie.
and did work on the film that hasn't come out yet, but the
Amazing.
Legend of Aang film. Yeah, so it's cool. It was so cool to see someone from our little team, level up and get to do that. Not that Danny's worked at Pixar and everywhere, but it was really cool to
level
see
up from that.
just like the Avatar part of
the
it.
Avatar world.
It's like that's so cool to see. I love championing, our friends and colleagues when they get to do stuff like that.
That's so cool.
Hey, if you ever need any more, hire me. I would love to do anything Avatar. Love Avatar.
Hopefully, Avatar Studios keeps going. They make more things.
I know.
We'll see.
No, I'm very excited for everything they're going to put out.
Yeah. And then you made your way to Blizzard after that. That was kind of the...
right from Disney to Blizzard.
Wow.
So
And how long have you been there now?
I just hit my 5-year. So 5-year anniversary. I got the sword.
Yeah,
So
I
the crew
saw.
gifts are pretty insane at Blizzard, I will say. Yeah, so it's a full life-size sword.
You get a weapon.
Get a literal weapon. Yeah, it is dull on the sides, but it's pointy at the tip, so
Hey.
you could like jab them, you can stab them with, stick them with the pointy end. You know.
It's good for
Yeah.
home security.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, and it looks really cool on the wall. So yeah, it comes with a whole placard to hang it and stuff. Yeah.
So cool.
So yeah, the 5-year gift is pretty cool. I mean, they're all pretty cool. Got to get to 10 to get the shield.
Right, right.
Yeah, and then you put them together and you have a full placard on the wall.
So cool.
Yeah.
They also have a beer stein, right?
Yeah. That's like it's like a bunch of, it's in like the kind of like World of Warcraft style, but it has all the different properties along the side of it, the artwork, and I think it's for 2 year you get that.
2 years.
So yeah, and you could technically drink out of it probably. But I don't know.
I haven't tried.
No, yeah. For me, it's more display. I mean, it's like actually, it's not it's not plastic. It's like actually like I think it's like stainless steel. So
Oh, wow.
it's got everything has weight. Everything's real. So or at least somewhat real.
So when you switched over to Blizzard,
Yeah.
did you feel like a difference in the way that you had to do things from Disney to Blizzard, or was it really dependent, like you were saying earlier, on
Yeah.
the property?
There was some differences. So yeah, so my Blizzard journey actually started in the in-game cinematics team. So we worked really closely with the games team. Especially, I started specifically on World of Warcraft. And then actually during my time there, a bunch of reorganizing happened within the studio, and they essentially merged the in-game team for cinematics specifically, because we were doing all the in-game cutscenes. They merged us with SFD, which was doing all the cinematics for like the pre-rendered things, like the stuff you saw for the marketing pieces on trailers on YouTube and things. The hyper-real ones basically.
Right.
So they were different teams initially, and then basically I got hired in as they got smushed together and merged. So I originally started on one side and then ended up in the other, and that kind of put me in this sort of, I don't want to say jack of all trades, because I definitely don't know everything, but I could do, like, I was well versed in like the game side of rigging as well as the cinematic side, because the game
Right.
side had very strict like constraints. It has to work in engine, so because we would do real-time cinematics and in game, so basically they all have their own requirements to work in the engine, so you have to basically make it engine requirement, but still be able to hit the art direction of the in-game cinematics, and
Yeah.
they're constantly pushing the bar. I mean, like, if you look at where the WoW cinematics were, like 10 years ago to where they are now, it's like the level of artistry has gone way up. Like they really, every expansion, every patch, we're pushing the envelope in terms of just trying to really level up, because we don't just take the game assets, we've essentially recreate them for every piece. So you'll have characters that have been in WoW lore in the game for like 10 years, 15 years, and then when they get to involved in a story, cinematic moment or piece, they get like leveled up like crazy, and it's so cool. Fans get to see, they get excited about seeing characters that have essentially been just NPCs or on the sidelines get to be front and center and
Become the main character.
become the main characters with crazy effects sometimes, or lighting, or whatever it is. So fight sequences, talking, dialogue. So yeah, that was really cool. And then sorry, what was your original question?
Oh no, no. Yeah,
Just
that's
what
it.
was it different from like going from film into it?
Yeah, going from Disney to Blizzard.
Yeah.
It seems like two very different
For sure.
house styles. Period.
Yeah,
And then,
you went from film to games, so and
going to more realistic, less magical.
yeah,
in that
exactly.
way.
It's kind of different in every way, actually. It's when it's film to games. That's one big difference. Obviously, I have to deal with engine compliance and all that stuff for the in-game stuff. The styles are different. The production cycles are different. On feature film, you're working on one thing for a very long time. In games, it's we have we have longer production than, let's say, like indie games have very quick cycles, but it's still a lot shorter than feature film. And I work on I could work on every game in 1 year, depending on what the needs are for that year in terms of what pieces we're going to do. So yeah, it's very different.
There's probably you probably don't even
I
know the
literally
number of
can't even
projects
keep
you've worked
track.
on, because you've worked on so many. In 5 years.
It's a lot.
It's like,
There's a lot. Yeah, we don't all work on everything, but we definitely, our hands touch a lot of stuff, and they will pull us wherever we're needed, wherever, whatever the needs are, because we do rigging as well as, the CFX stuff. So sometimes needs are really high on one show, and you switch gears, and you kind of have to switch your brain constantly, because they're very different, like the kinds of work you're doing.
Right.
And sometimes it's not that easy to quickly switch, from
Yeah.
rig brain to CFX brain back to rig brain in such a short time. And then each show has their own directors, their own art direction from those directors. You know, the teams are different.
It
Yeah,
must
it's
have been a
interesting.
big learning curve, like starting out there too, and just
Mhm.
being like, their way of working is so different,
Yeah,
and
for sure.
getting used to that way of working,
Yeah,
and
getting used
just
to.
jumping into a already moving machine.
Yeah,
You
because you
know.
kind of have to hit the ground running, and I mean, you have to. I mean, we thankfully, you know, we had like training, and we had a mentorship, so like they paired
Hmm.
you up with like a buddy, kind of similar to the Disney training program, where you have somebody that kind of shepherds you along. But because there's so many different, you know, it's not like you're learning like with feature film, you're learning one pipeline, one set of tools, one software. It's like every game team or every whatever team has their own. They have their own engine, so they all have their own engine requirements, and they have to work differently. And
Oh
every
wow,
product,
wow.
every and then even if you're not on the game side, every game itself has a different art direction. So you have
Hmm.
to like pivot how how you work or how you approach certain things.
Well, in the in-game stuff too, it's interesting because you were saying you have to rig them differently. Is it
Hmm.
like, and I work in the industry, but
Sure.
is are you just doing these much more like simple rigs? Is that kind of the
Yeah, it
thing, and then
depends.
it's a more detailed kind of robust rig when
Hmm.
you don't have to have the constraint of the of engine?
Yeah, basically. So it's honestly, it's so much harder to work on the game rigs because you have to basically work within these very tight constraints, but still be able to like push the art direction, really
Sure.
far. And animation still wants to have the ability to do stuff. So a lot of times it's like oh, okay, I can give you this thing, but I got to take away this thing. It's kind of like a give and take relationship. Whereas
Right.
like on the on the pre-rendered pieces, we can just put anything into the rigs. You can do blend shapes, whatever you have. You For games, it's very specific. You can only do skinning and joints, and
Mm-hmm.
you have a limited number of things. So yeah, it's a lot harder to work in those constraints. But it forces you get really creative with your solutions, and it makes you like I guess a better artist in a way because
Right.
when you have everything at your disposal, it's great when you're in it. Don't get me wrong, but when you're forced to work in a much smaller box
Yeah.
and
When you're
still
pushed
hit those
into a
things,
corner.
when you're pushed
Yeah.
into a corner, you get creative and you grow a lot trying to figure stuff out. So, and yeah, like I said, the collaboration with animation and stuff and modeling is just really on the game teams. It's like a necessity. It's like
Yeah.
I mean, we're always collaborating, but it's even more important on those teams because of those constraints, and it is a give
Mm-hmm.
and take. So sometimes I can't give you everything you want, and then sometimes the piece requires it. So like, okay, what are we gonna do? What are we gonna cut? How are we gonna get creative to do it? Do we have to
Yeah.
split the rig in half? We've had to do that before.
Split the ring in
Yeah,
half.
if we've have a character that WoW has lots of races and creatures, and like sometimes you got three heads and wings and talons
Sure.
and tails, and sometimes you can't fit all of that in one rig and still remain engine compliant. So sometimes you literally have to, depending on the shot, if the angle allows it, you chop the character in half. So it's like one rig is waist up, the other waist down, or just the head or whatever it might be. So you get really clever.
Speaking of chopping in half, I love that shot that you have where
Which one?
the axe like goes right above the guy's head and it
On the
splits his
Kiriko
hair.
piece. Yeah, on the Kiriko character piece. Yeah, no, and the Hashimoto with the big hair. Yeah, where the
Mm-hmm.
girl throws the axe through him in the elevator. That was a fun one. Yeah, that whole piece was fun. That was Kiriko's intro piece. So that was like her
Uh-huh.
first debut as a character into the game, and that was one of our longer pieces too. And yeah, for that one I got to rig the Hashimoto goons, the
Oh,
gang
fun.
guys, and I also got to rig the mom as well, her mom. And then yeah, do CFX on the whole thing. Just Kiriko fighting with and all in this hallway, and cloth flipping around, and yeah, it was also very unhinged, little girl with, with her ultimate power, getting an axe, so
Sure. Yeah, yeah.
and attacking herself. Inspire the youth. Um, rise up.
You somehow have rigged all the goons too. You did the goons, you did
Yeah,
the smoke
I always
monsters,
get I get the villains, or I get the moms alive. I get the moms, or I get the like the flashback version of the character,
Oh,
which
interesting.
whether it was Disney with the flashback, the
Oh,
younger
right. Yeah.
versions on both films I did, or in the latest piece we did for Vendetta Hero announced that just came out. I got to do the flashback version of Vendetta. So before she's in the present with her current outfit, she was in the past. So I did the rig for that, as well as the hair rig for that. It's my first time doing a hair rig, actually, which
Oh,
was cool.
really?
Which was a good test one because it's a long braid and she doesn't really move much. It's very subtle animation. It's like her in a hospital room, very like sad about her dad's passing. So
Mm.
it's not like a big piece. So it's more subtle. So get to play around with it.
That's
and
cool.
Learn a little bit more. Yeah, learn how we do it. So.
But like you said before, like subtlety is almost harder. You
Can't
know,
hide it.
to get it to feel like it's
Yep.
more realistic and grounded.
Yeah, thankfully Overwatch is stylized, but yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
For that
true.
piece, but yeah, no, it definitely is harder when you have a still shot and a character isn't moving that much because then you notice everything as
Yeah.
opposed to when it's quick. So.
But you're also like you just said, like Overwatch is less realistic, but you're like tweaking constantly your style because literally like
Yep.
every project that you go on to, Diablo's super different than Overwatch.
Diablo's all blood and guts.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Literally.
And in World of Warcraft too, you know.
Yeah. No, it's super fun. I mean, it's very creatively fulfilling for sure.
Yeah.
Getting to work on all these things, and you know, I'm a gamer. I didn't actually grow up playing Blizzard games really because I didn't really have a PC that could handle all that stuff. I was much more of a Sonic, Mario, Zelda know kind of guy. But yeah, no, I mean, I always loved the cinematics, even when we were still in school. Like the things that were coming out, like crazy. Just some of the, I mean, the cinematics have been legendary for so long. The Lich King, all of the Shadowlands, like all of them have been really amazing. So,
I mean, literally, it's the top of video games when it comes to cinematic. I mean,
they're amazing.
I don't even know
like the
what
lore
else.
of the games are so cool. Yeah, so getting in there and really getting into it and learning more about it and then getting fully involved in it is so rewarding. Absolutely.
So much fun. And then you guys have like BlizzCon and you have the fan base is just so massive.
We have our own Comic-Con just for Blizzard, or D23 or whatever.
D23, yeah.
Yeah, like literally just for us that they've had for forever. So, and we have our first one this year in quite a while. So we did one, I think last one was like 4 years ago maybe, or even 5. I'm not sure, but yeah, it's been a while since we've had an in-person like big huge BlizzCon event. So it's a big year for us for sure. Yeah, it's super fun we get to go and attend it and see all the fans and just get to interact with people and be part of different panels and presentations, and that stuff's like really cool. Yeah.
Do you have a favorite of the 3 games that you get to work on?
Oh, that's hard.
What child do you like
Which
the
child
most?
do you like the most? Yeah, I mean, they're all so different. I definitely enjoy Overwatch the most in terms of it's one of the games I play, so I actually enjoy that on that front, but I also just love the character designs. They're super fun for me. They're also different, and every hero is from a different region of the world, so you get so many different kind of outfits, and it's just really cool. But yeah, I mean, I also have such an affinity for World of Warcraft just because that's where I spend most of my time, if I'm being honest.
Yeah.
So it's just so much work with, basically World of Warcraft never stops. It's a never-ending machine. They have game content and patches and expansions all year, multiple times a year for forever and eternity. Whereas the other ones, Diablo and Overwatch, go through more traditional like production cycles where we have like a big thing we're working towards, and it's not every year, so it's sometimes it spans more than, so it's longer on those projects, so you have more time. Whereas WoW is just like the craziness of WoW is just, the pace is so fast. It's so fast. It kind of reminds me of when I worked in commercials in a way.
Oh yeah.
Because it's just like the production cycles. You have to be quick.
Oh, very fast.
Very fast. You don't wear multiple hats as much as you do in commercial work, like freelance work, but still, it's like you just have to like pump out sometimes like 5 rigs a week, and then refine as you go. Essentially, it's not like you hand it in and it's done. Essentially, as they're working, notes are showing up, in shots. Oh, we can't do this, or oh, this could be better, and we're like editing those rigs on the fly as they're working while also doing the next expansions rigs. And yeah, World of Warcraft is insane, but it's fun, and it's a really small team, like really close. It's usually just me and my one other rigger, my lead Drew, and the 2 of us are just going at it and just getting all the rigs out.
Crazy, there's only 2 of you.
Yeah, it's a really small department. So the rigging and simulation department, and some of the departments are obviously bigger, but for us, it's usually like it fluctuates from like 10 to 15 people tops for everything. So sometimes you have just like 1 or 2 artists on it, so you really get close, like working together, and it's like a tight-knit little family. It's fun. Then you get to work with different artists on different pieces, and I get to work on a lot of different. Some artists are more like they stay on one franchise more, like they'll always be on Diablo, they'll always be on WoW, and because of the nature of how I started at the studio, I kind of am in that chameleon thing where they move me around all the time, so I do get to touch everything. So I absolutely love it. I can request stuff, which is cool. It can be like, oh, this looks great. I want to work on this. This is coming up.
Oh, that's so much fun.
The latest Diablo stuff was so cool to work on.
The Vessel of Hatred, was that one of the more recent ones?
Yes. Yeah, no, I did that one. I worked on that one. That was crazy. I think we won an award for that
Yeah,
one too. We did, yeah. That was crazy. That was so fun. Yeah, I mean, poor Narelle. She really go through the ringer. It's our heroine in the boat. But yeah, I had one of the shots where her mom is like touching her face essentially, and then the corruption starts to overtake her face as you realize it's not really her mother, and then it all hell breaks loose from there.
Literally.
Yeah. So that was fun. Yeah. Diablo's gross in a fun way. There's so many gross stuff.
It's so gross.
Yeah, like things getting ripped apart, like heads, limbs, like, I worked on that one. We had the original announced piece for Diablo 4 was Anarius versus Lilith with the giant war, and we had Prava and commanding, and we had all the soldiers of the light and just like a crazy battle sequence, demons, guts flying everywhere. Super fun. It's super gross. I love it.
Yeah, and all super different. All in
all
one
different.
studio.
Yeah, I can work on that one day and then go work on cutesy Overwatch characters the next. It's great. It keeps it fresh.
What are some of the other ones that you've gotten to do that have been
really
a lot of fun? Yeah,
because we talked about Kiriko and the K-pop one, which was fun.
Yeah,
I really did like. We touched on it briefly, but with the Void Monster part. But I really did like the last piece we did, Immolation for World of Warcraft with Arator. Just fighting is super fun for me because I got to do just like fight. I don't know. I love fight scenes. Fight scenes are fun, and he has like 100 layers of cloth, like
wow,
just like prayer strips, and the WoW characters always have giant shoulder pads, so you always had to deal with giant armor that could stab them at any moment.
Yeah,
and their enemies. But yeah, he just has so many layers of cloth and just flinging around, fighting. I had that fun shot. I had a bunch of the shots, the spinning shots, but yeah, I had the fun like ending shot before he gets his full energy and bursts out the light everywhere. That was a fun one.
So cool.
Yeah, that was a cool piece. Yeah, for sure. And it was cool to see Arator fight around like that.
Yeah,
full on cinematic glory.
Yeah, there was also one you did where there was a character it was like a dragon, like dragon wings, and he like.
Oh yeah, the Drakthir. Oh yeah, that was for WoW for it was called Shadows Underneath, I believe that piece was called. Mm-hmm. At least they give them titles, but yeah, I gotta like fish them out of my brain.
Right, yeah, it's a lot of subtitles that you probably don't know while you're working on it.
Yeah, exactly. That was
name it afterwards.
Yeah, that was for the War Within. So we had 2 cinematics for War Within. We had that one with all highlighting the different regions and different characters. We had Faerun and some of the other characters that are in that expansion. And then we also had the one with Anduin and Thrall in the desert, which was our big like emotional B piece, which was fun. That was basically lots of like nice subtle breeze in the cape, and it's a very heavy, sad, emotional piece for sure. Anduin at his lowest
very
point.
Lawrence of Arabia.
Literally, and Anduin and Thrall trying to pull him out of the darkness, and yeah, that was a big one too. But that was again more subtle, just like, and sometimes the subtle stuff, as we said, is a lot more tricky. So. Yeah, there's been so many cinematics. WoW has so many. Usually they do 2, for every expansion usually gets 2 pieces. So, for Dragonflight, we had all those pieces of, the Dragon Riders flying around to showcase that expansion, which was adding, flight to the game. So that was a big one. All the effects, that was a heavy one too. That was cool. Yeah, just like, windy saddles and all that fun stuff. Lots of cleanup.
Sounds like the name of a book.
Windy Saddles?
Windy Saddles.
Windy Saddles. Yeah.
It's a love story about horses.
Yeah. My God.
Windy
Spirit.
Saddles. Spirit. Windy Saddles.
Oh my God. And that's DreamWorks. Y'all did that.
It's the second sequel.
Sequel. Yeah. That's our cross studio collab. Yeah.
I wanted to ask you too about like growing up. You said video games. You always played video games. It was a lot of Nintendo stuff. It seemed like.
Yeah, definitely Nintendo. But I also played PlayStation.
Yeah, me
gotta
too.
Shout out my horror games, my Resident Evil and Silent Hill. And that kind of
look
stuff.
at you go.
Yeah. So it wasn't all, Mario.
I always loved adventure games. So I was
sure.
always like, it was like Sly Cooper.
Oh yeah.
Jack and Daxter, Ratchet and Clank. Those were kind
good
of
old
the games.
PlayStation guy. Yeah.
PlayStation and Nintendo. We would, but a lot of like everybody, like Smash Brothers.
Absolutely.
And
Run the gamut.
anything Mario, pretty much.
Right, you could play anything. I used to play everything. I played all sorts of games. You know, Red Dead Redemption. I love that game. This like super fun. Like so you go from a western to like you know I could play Donkey Kong Country on the Super
Yeah.
Nintendo. You know I love those games. So Banjo Kazooie, whatever.
And then you had GameCube with,
Yeah.
Pikmin and
Oh
all
God.
that stuff, and Animal Crossing.
Lots of gaming, you
and
know,
I
computer
know.
gaming. You know, I played The Sims. Got to have The Sims
Oh, there you
represent.
go. Yeah, I was always more of a console guy.
Yeah.
It was just like
That was
I
my
didn't have a fast computer either.
I didn't either, but that was my one game that I had to run on my computer, and it barely ran. Like I had to go edit the graphics and put it as low as possible to get that thing to work. So, but it was fun.
So playing games at
Yes.
a young age, and then
Pivoting.
when did you decide like animation is the thing that you want to pursue as a career or go into for
Yeah.
college?
It's funny. I always did art as a kid, like
Mhm.
as young, you know, as young as I can remember. Always drawing, always doing something artistic. It wasn't until high school that when it started to like getting closer to graduation and starting to think about what I wanted to do. I wasn't sure if I was going to pursue like anything art as a career.
Yeah.
I wasn't entirely sure. I was kind of nervous to do it because there's all the stigma about being an artist and like what that entails, even at a young age.
Starving artist.
Starving artist, but my parents were both artists as well, and they really pushed me into it. Like they really wanted me to use my art and enjoy my career that and not be going to work doing something that doesn't fulfill me in any kind of way. So at that point, I took AP art, and I just really got into all kinds of art, like drawing and painting, like traditional type of art. And animation is one of those things where it just sort of just came about because I was always a kid that was loving not only gaming, but, just film and just animated film specifically, shows. And like, I would like create little like short stories based on like shows I was watching. Like I would watch Teen Titans as a kid, and I would like write little like mini side stories with
fun.
them, and I would draw comic strips to go with it, and I would glue them all together and show my parents, who had no idea what any of these characters were or what was happening, and I thought it was the coolest thing ever.
Yeah.
And they were like reading it.
They're like,
But
wow.
they're like, whoa, but they supported me,
Beastie Boy playing.
Yeah, right. They're like, who's
with
this
Cyborg.
Starfire? Yeah. Why is this Raven girl always dark?
Right.
She always looks so sad, But
You
anyway,
always draw her with a downward smile.
yeah, right. I'm gonna get the scowl. But anyway, so I was always doing art, and then so animation kind of just naturally grew out of like watching a lot of films and then seeing the credits and being like, oh, there's like realizing that people actually like do this for a living. Right? It's
Right.
like actually a job, and then sort of transitioning the okay, I love this thing. Let's learn more about how this thing is made, basically, and go that route. So that's where School of Visual Arts came in. I toured a lot of schools, but School of Visual Arts was it was close to home. It was a really good program. I really liked the people I met during the tour, and the staff was great. And shout out to SVA.
Shout out to SVA.
Shout out to SVA. I met you and so many people that we all still this crazy web of artistic people and friends, and all these years later we're all still close. So.
And all work together, too.
And all work together at different
it's-
points.
Yeah.
We kind of just cross paths constantly.
It's crazy.
And we fall right back in, like we were still in the computer labs. Sleeping
know.
under desks, trying to get our films done. So, yeah.
It's pretty crazy. What point at SVA did you realize like rigging was something that you wanted to focus on?
Yeah.
Or even that it was a thing?
Yeah. Well, yeah. When I first started, I didn't realize that. I just kind of like a lot of people who don't know. It's just I'm just like, oh, it's animation. It's a big bucket of animation, right? And I knew that I wanted to animate, but what did that mean, right? I learned very quickly that I'm not an animator in the traditional sense, like a character animator. I wasn't that good at it, and maybe I could have gotten better if I kept at it, but I didn't.
You were good at it.
I didn't know. I didn't see it being a long-term thing, and I also
Right.
didn't. It was I didn't enjoy it that much to be honest with you. It was different. It's funny as I ended up in cloth animation, but it's funny how things go. But yeah, no, it was it's very different than traditional animation drawing, like what I was more used to.
Right.
So I was learning about all the other parts of the pipeline essentially, and that was really cool that I was exposed to it all, very early. So I realized quickly I wasn't going to be a character animator, but then I learned there's all this other stuff. You could be a modeler and make the character assets or the environments. You could be a surfacing artist and do all the textures, the lighting, the rigging, and it's funny. I fell into rigging. One, because of Frank Naranjo, my teacher at the time, who I loved, and it was so awesome. Just a crazy Viking.
Yes. He was
Viking
great.
of a man.
Yeah.
Who was really passionate at the time and just really loved what he did and showing us. And so he got me interested in it. And then, just like seeing like what I like that it was kind of the marriage of like tech and art. You know, it's like I got to use like the tech side of your brain as well as the artistic side and kind of marriage the two together. And then it's also there wasn't at the time, at least in our grade, like there wasn't a lot of people doing it. It was one of those things where it was kind of like, oh, this is like a thing that I enjoy. That's also kind of like a role that needs to be filled. And remember like doing the character rigs for like half of our graduating class.
Yeah, yeah, it's true.
It's just one of those things where it's like it either clicks for you or it doesn't, and it's really hard to make a rig that's that lets you hit your character performance. And
Yeah.
obviously the rigs that I did back then are by today's standards are horrible. I thought they were so good at the time.
Hey,
Terrible.
they were good at the time.
They were
worked
good for what
they needed.
what a student needed at the time.
Yeah.
I learned a lot from doing lots of different types of characters. There's not just humans. There was animals. There was there was a mermaid. There was all these different kinds. I had genies. Like there was just so many different kinds of rigs. So it was fun. Yeah, I found that fun. Like different challenges for each character. Like figuring out like what worked for one wasn't gonna work for the other, and then figuring out how to make it work was kind of cool. So that was like it's like a creative part that's not like seen because it's under the hood,
Right.
But you see it in the final performances when it actually can hit the art that they want to do. So
Yeah, it's
that
like
was
a
cool.
puzzle that you're solving, right?
Literally, yeah, it's a fun puzzle. It's a challenge. And then at the time, I was only doing rigging, so the simulation stuff came way later. Like once I got into Disney is when I really
Right, that came
jumped
at
into
Disney.
the CFX. Yeah,
Wow.
like none of that. Yeah, I mean, I played around with like end cloth and just like little things
Yeah, just
here
a
and
little
there,
bit.
little there for some of my freelance jobs or personal work if it was needed. But I wasn't in the full cloth realm either. And then that's just another tool in the tool belt skill set that was really created for me. At Disney really fostered it. So
Yeah.
and now I do it for a living, both that and rigging. I get to go back and forth and switch programs and do all the things.
So cool.
It's fun.
All the things you enjoy doing.
All the things I enjoy doing.
Well, on that note, what do you love most about what you get to do?
Oh, what do I love the most? Honestly, I love the people I work with. It seems cliche to say, but it is so much of a group effort. Like we play a small part in like a big role, and you see it all come together at the end. But it really does take a village to make anything, any cinematic, any game. So, there's so many just like fun nights and just working with people and sharing memes and ridiculous stories and on WoW there's so much lore, and you have some people that are like lore heads that have been playing the game since its inception and could literally pull out something from like 20 years ago or know like, oh, that doesn't look right because this thing that we did already established like 10 years ago, we gotta switch it. Like it's just cool that people are that like people are passionate about the games that we make, the work that we do, whatever it is. Like it's just so cool. It's kind of inspiring. It's easy to get, as you're in the industry for a long time, to get kind of complacent and a little jaded maybe at times, and that's still part of it, of course. But it's just cool. It's just cool to be around people that are really passionate about the games that you're making. So
That's awesome.
yeah, it's cliche, but it's true.
No, it's true. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for doing this.
Hey,
I I'm so glad we
I
finally
threw out the shocker for
I'm
that.
so glad
but-
we finally got to do it.
Yeah, no, this was fun. It was fun to catch up and just go down the old memory lane
I
a little
know.
bit. Yeah, it's crazy.
And
Who knows what's next?
Who knows what's next?
Enjoying the
knows?
ride wherever it goes.
Yep. And I've enjoyed the ride so far, and I've enjoyed it riding along with you on this career journey that we've all been going on together. And I'm very thankful to, still have you as one of my closest friends after all these years. And it's I'm so proud of you as an artist and a person, and it's exciting to
Stop it.
see you growing in your career. Now you're a senior, and
You're going to make me barf.
you're now you're like a senior artist at Blizzard.
Too nice. Too nice.
I'm just very proud of you.
Yes, thank you.
And,
I'm proud of
very,
you, too.
I'm very happy for you, and
Thank you.
congratulations on everything.
Appreciate it. Appreciate you.
And on to the next thing.
On to the next.
All right. Thank you, my friend. And thank you all for watching this episode of Nick's Friends in Film. Please like, comment, and subscribe below. And join us next week for our next friend. Thanks so much. Bye.